to do a podcast interview with someone who is in the petroleum space. How many garages do you own?
2. I've got 2 Engen Petrol sites, one in Alexandra in Johannesburg and one in Pietermaritzburg in Kempsdrift.
Okay. So, you know what? There's no, out of all interviews that I've done, this one, I was looking forward to this one. And I'll tell you why. There's less knowledge about the space. But where do you want us to start? Because I've got a lot of questions.
Bring it on.
Okay.
We can start anyway.
Maybe let me ask questions this way. Mm-hmm. If I want to get into the space from zero, here am I'm at home. I'm thinking I want to get into this space. I want to own or I want to get into the franchise. Where do I go? Where do I start? What's the starting point?
Okay. Firstly, you have to have money. It's very important to start saving. You know, I always teach even the staff that I work with that it's important to save money because when you go to borrow from the bank, from all the other even government institutions, they'll want to see what are you bringing to the table. So it's important to have something in your kitty, some money that you have saved to show that you are serious about starting a business. So start by saving money first. Have something to show when you go to apply to the oil companies for owning a fuel station or any business for that matter.
But specifically today, we want to focus on the petroleum space. Okay, so now that you are saying I need to save money. But one will say, but I can have a site. For instance, there's a story somewhere in not Eastern Cape, but Limpopo, Tzanini to be specific, where there was a site and a certain individual wanted to use that and it was approved according to the story that I had. All these companies, I think it was Shell, who said, no, this space can be used. In fact, there is prospect of success if they were to open that. So one will say, I've identified a site. So is there no way where I can source funding, without, I don't have money,
Okay.
I'm coming from a poor background, I've got a site.
I always say when you have land, you have got everything. We all know that land is still in the hands of the other people. As Black people, we don't have access to land. So when you have land, I'm always happy with people who come from the rural areas because there it's very easy and land is accessible. So when you have land, there are things that you have to follow. If the land is owned by you, you've got proof that let's say you've got a title deed or whatever, or the letter from the king. If it's land from the rural areas. You then there are certain things that you have to follow. First of all, there's a thing called a traffic count that needs to be done so that oil company can be able to say, yeah, there is a potential. A traffic count means they must count the number of cars that pass through this site or through this property. So that one will determine is it going to be profitable? The business is going to be profitable because there are cars who are going to be coming and filling up at this place. The second thing that you have to do is an environmental study because there are people who are there are companies who are doing those environmental studies to see if building a petrol station is not going to affect the environment. There are people who live in the area, there's water, there's so many things. There are environmentalists in the country who specialize in those things, who are able to say yeah or nay. So those are the 2 things first that you need to be able to do so that then at that point you can then go to an oil company if that's the way you want to go to say, okay, I've got this piece of land, I've done my traffic count, I've done my environmental study, this is the proof. It can happen. Then that's when you start negotiating with them to say they want to develop the land for you because clearly you don't have the money, as you have clearly said. They want to develop the land for you because they've seen a potential. Remember, nobody wants to invest in anything, in something that there's no potential. So if their numbers are talking to them and they can see that they will make money when the petrol station is built and it's operating, then you have that agreement with them, you sit down and then you decide whether they're going to build the place for you when they build, they will put the tanks underground, they'll put the pumps, and they will then build the shop, which is the quick shop or whatever it's called. It depends on the oil company, the building basically. So, and then there are other things that you have to own. There are generators, there are compressors, for the business to move. So the discussion will be around those things. But if you have money, there's also another way where you can build yourself. You can build the infrastructure, which you have to put your own tanks, you have to put your pump, you have to do your own building. And at that stage, you then say to them, everything is there. I just need a supply agreement from you, which means the oil company is not going to own anything. You own the land, you own the building, you own the tanks, you own the pumps. Everything is yours. You just need them to come and supply you with fuel and then brand the place so that it's seen as the brand. We've got brands in the country, those popular ones, the likes of Engen, the Shells, the Totals, the, BPs and all. So you've got that choice, Sasol and them, or a Strong Energy. You can go and approach any of those oil companies to have such an agreement. You can go and knock on all these doors, and then what the best agreement is what will make you happy. So when you then have that agreement, they will then discuss with you what are the margins. How much are you going to make now if they build for you or you build for yourself? Where you make the margins are on the fuel. When you buy, how much you buy and how much you sell for. So that's the difference. So that's where you make your money, between what you buy from the oil company and what you sell for. The difference is yours. Ne? So that's the agreement. So then you go to Shell and Shell says, okay, I'm going to give you R1.80. Engen says, I'm going to give you R2.40. And then another one will say, you must decide because you are happy with the deal. So that's what happens when you have the land. And then the other part is people like us who don't have the land, who applied with oil companies. So I will say this, all oil companies, they've got websites. So what you do as an individual, you go on the website. There's a Shell website, there's an Engen website, there's also all of them, they've got websites where they advertise these franchise opportunities. You go there, you apply, you put your details, they ask you questions, you put everything there, and then you send it through. The machine, because you're now dealing with the website, the machine will then decide who qualifies. They ask questions like, how much money do you have? The money part always comes first. It's called unencumbered funds. You have to show that there's money, there's something that you have. They will ask you how much unencumbered funds you have. You write it down. Then after you've been, then the system will then say which people are going to be interviewed, or they're going to ask them for business plans or proof of funds and things like that. Then you'll get a letter later, maybe a month or so. It says, okay, you've passed the process. Now we need you to send us a proof of your funds. We need you to send us a business plan. We need you to send us financial projections. Sometimes they'll give you the number of the person who's selling, the seller at that part, the current operator, to go and ask for information, which will be needed when you put together your business plan. You must do your due diligence so that you can see what you're applying for will make money for you. The asking price as well. You need to check if the asking price is good enough for you to be able to pay that money, and the loan that you're going to apply for will be able to pay back